Hi guys. I do have words written down. I've got a little script with me. I'll move it so that it's not in the way. Better. There we go. So I've got my laptop with me and I want to, oh, you know what? Yes. This is good. This is good. So, ignore my side profile. I am making a plea. I am begging you guys to start reading. Yes, I messed up my eyebrows. Let's not talk about it. I am begging you guys to start consuming Black media. I'm begging you to start consuming women's media, indigenous media, religious, and I'm not just talking about Muslim, I'm talking about other religions too. Religious media, queer content. You need to be reading Black authors. You need to be reading indigenous authors. You need to be watching Black movies. You need to be reading queer books. You need to Pushkin was Black. Why did no one tell me that? Like, start your thirst for diversity. Start your thirst for diversity with your consumption. If you want diversity in schools, in the workforce, then you kind of need to start expecting it and be surrounded by it. Okay? But start talking to people that don't look like you. Start talking to people that dress different than you. If you're hanging out with people who all think the exact same things as you and have the same opinions and the same stances, then you're hanging out with the wrong people. You need diversity in your life. And in this world, you kind of have to search for it. But there is no excuse for the search is hard. It's easier to just consume white media. It's easier to just consume straight media. What I'm trying to say is, sure, it might be a little difficult if you're used to the same stuff. You're used to being surrounded by white people. You're used to be surrounded by Christians or atheists. You're used to being surrounded by straight people or people who you think are straight because they're not comfortable enough to be openly queer around you. That's a whole other conversation. This video is a plead for you to start consuming media that makes you uncomfortable, for media that is a little icky, a little grotesque. You need to start consuming media. Not that I'm saying that all Black media is icky or grotesque. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying diverse literature is icky. I'm just saying there might be some ideas that make your whiteness a little uncomfortable, make your straightness a little uncomfortable, you know? But in order to radicalize people, in order to create a better world, you need to be consuming media that is not just for you. Because if you think that you've already learned everything there is to learn, you're wrong. You're wrong. I don't know how else to tell you that. And if you think that you're done learning, you're also wrong. Get that out of the way, and then read you guys the list of books that I plan on reading before I die. So, but it's not that long considering we're talking about a lifetime. This is just what I have so far. And I have it by author. Yeah. So we're gonna start from the top. And obviously you're gonna have heard of some of these authors, others you're not gonna have heard of. We're gonna start with my boy. I love him so much. James Baldwin. No Name in the Street I want to read, and Everybody's Protest novel I need to read. And obviously for a lot of these authors, it is implied that I want to read more of their work if given the opportunity, but say I only could read a couple of their works, what I have listed is what I plan to read. So, Albert Camus, I've read The Stranger, and I've read like 2 of his essays, but what I have not read is The Plague, The Algerian, and The Myth of Sisyphus. I know. I haven't read The Myth of Sisyphus yet. I know. It's kind of a crime. And Fyodor Dostoevsky. I also heard his name pronounced Dostoyevsky. I'm not sure which is correct. So feel free to correct me in the comments or let me know which one's correct. Dostoevsky or Dostoyevsky. I want to read White Nights and Notes from a Dead House. I have read Crime and Punishment, but I honestly think I should read it again because it was a long time ago that I read it, and I'm not even sure if I finished it. So I don't really count that one as saying I read it because I honestly need to reread it, if I'm being honest. And then Larry Mitchell, I'm gonna say the F, oh no, I'm not gonna say it just because I don't want to make people uncomfortable. The F Word and Their Friends Between Revolutions. It's by Larry Mitchell. You can look up the author and probably find what I'm talking about. I have to read this. I want to know. And then obviously the very famous Polish book, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. Really want to read that. It's by Olga Tokarczuk. And then an author, I don't have any of her books yet, but I want to read Gaspara Stampa. And then there's a book that for some reason I didn't write the author, but it's Islam and Chinese Society. That seems interesting. Then Hell Under God's Orders by Gloria E. Joseph. And then Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And then Vladimir Nabokov, his Invitation to a Beheading. Bruno Schultz, The Street of Crocodiles. So a lot of these are like things like in the beginning and towards the end are things that are very recognizable, and then in the middle are like kind of lesser known. Like the next one is A School of Fools by Sasha Sokolov. And then Victor Pelevin's Chapayev and the Void. Bulgakov, Master and Margarita. Clarice Lispector, Breath of Life. Rashid Khalidi, The 100 Years' War on Palestine. I know, I haven't read that book yet. Everyone's been recommending it to me, and I really need to read it. Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. And then Hong Kong. I really want to read Hong Kong because I've heard so much about her work, but I haven't actually read anything. So, The Vegetarian, obviously, Greek Lessons, I Do Not Bid Farewell, and The White Book. Those are the 4 that I really want to read. Robert E. Simone, Bad Men Do What Good Men Dream. This, I'm so curious for the take. I really want to know what that's about. Megan Nolan's Acts of Desperation. Eyes, Guts, Throat, Bones by Moira Fowley. I Fear My Pain Interests You by Stephanie LaCava. That one's gonna be interesting. And then, oh my gosh, our girl, Otessa Moshfe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name right. But I've read My Year of Rest and Relaxation. And as much as the main character pissed me off, it was a good book. I loved it. So I want to read Lapvona. The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Cow. Susan Sontag. I want to read Illness as a Metaphor I especially want to read regarding the pain of others and on women. And then she's also got Reborn. I want to read Marimba Ani's Yurgu. And then Andre Henry's All the White Friends I Couldn't Keep, because I've heard a lot about that one. I've heard it's good. And then a book by Vincent Woodward. It's The Delectable, and it's a form of the N-word. I'm not comfortable saying it. It's not the N-word, but it's a form of it. So I'm not comfortable saying that. But if you look up Vincent Woodward, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then The Lost Girls of Autism by Gina Ripon. Junichiro Tanizaki, Devils in Daylight, and Naomi are 2 books of his that I want to read. And then I've read a lot. The next one is Osamu Dazai. I've read a lot of Osamu Dazai, but I haven't read Goodbye, or I know The Flowers of Buffoonery. I haven't read that yet, so... That the Blood Stay Pure by Erica L. Coleman. And then Charlotte Dacra's Zofloya or the Moor. It's considered a classic. And then Malik Iadri's The Dilemma of Muslim Psychologists. This I'm so curious about. I'm so curious. Like, I really want to know what it, like, how it's presented. I'm very curious to read this. It's kind of a weird shape, but okay. And also Sin Eater by Megan Campisi. And then my favorite author of all time, Yukio Mishima. I still have a lot of his work to read, and I haven't read his most famous novel. Don't kill me. The Sailor Who Fell from Grace of the Sea. I haven't read that. What I've read is The Sound of Waves, Star, and Spring Snow. And there's another one, but I'm forgetting. So what I want to read by Yukio Mishima is Confessions of a Mask, Sun and Steel, The Temple of the Golden Pavilion, Life for Sale, and Runaway Horses. So quite a few of his. And then, obviously, I have to read Toni Morrison, because I haven't read any Toni Morrison. So I want to obviously read the main 3, Beloved, Bluest Eye, Song of Solomon. I also want to read Scylla and Jazz. And then Daniel Paul Schreiber, Memoirs of My Nervous Illness. Alex von Tuzzelman, Indian Summer. I'm not sure if this is going to be a good one, just because I haven't done the research. So I would have to kind of wait and read it to find out if it's a reliable book. Don't hate me, but I want to read The Bell Jar. I want to know what y'all are yapping about. Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. I want to know what's going on. Like, what are we talking about? I want to be informed. So, and I also want to try some of her other poetry. Messer Moon, Kill Your Darlings. Our boy Kafka, Franz Kafka. I want to read America, A Hunger Artist, and Letters to Milena. I've read The Trial and Metamorphosis, and I think that's it. I gotta read Mahmoud Darwish because I've read a lot of his poetry. So I want to read Why Did You Leave the Horse Alone, State of Siege, and then I believe this one is a poetry collection. It's Advances in Embroidery. So then I also want to read Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. And then I have read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So, of course, I gotta read If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. You know? Like, if you read one, you kind of have to read the other. And then Katya Apekina. Apekina? I'm not sure. The Deeper the Water, the Uglier the Fish. That's an interesting title. Like, I'm wondering what it's going to be about. I don't have that much information. And then Tanya Tagak, Split Tooth. I believe that's an indigenous author. No, I'm not. I might be mixing it up with a different one, but I believe that's an indigenous author. Guadalupe Nettle, Stillborn. Zulfa Katu, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow, because I just want to read a cute little, like, Muslim romance. I've heard it's very wholesome. Slewfoot by Brom. And then The Rape of the Mind by Just A.M. Mirlu. Blue Hunger by Viola Di Grado. And then I read A Certain Hunger, so obviously I'm gonna try and read Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. And then Lingma, I want to read her Severance. Of course, I want to read Severance. And then this Kimara is just not working for me at all today. Like, excuse me, I apologize. And then I want to read Patrick C. Harrison III's Grandpappy and Savage Breed. And then I found a PDF of Francis Bacon's commonplace book. It's like 133 pages, so you know I'm about to read that. I'm about to fuck that up. And then Jezuska Stevens. Ooh, I struggle with that one. The Exhibition of Persephone Q. I want to read that. Then I also want to read The Struggle for Utopia, Andrew Blovelt. And then I want to read Fangs by Sarah Anderson. And then The Striker by Anna Huang. And then I want to read Kazuo Ishiguro, because I started Clara and the Sun and I never finished it. Like, not for any reason that's the book's fault. It's just circumstance. I never finished it. So I want to finish that. I'll probably start it over because I don't. No. I actually remember quite a bit, so I probably won't start it over actually. But then I also want to read Kazuo Ishiguro's Never Let Me Go. And then the last book on this list so far, we might have a part 2, is Lori Waxman's Keep Walking Intently. I have a couple other books that I plan on reading that aren't listed here. They're in my commonplace book, and we can talk about those in part 2 if you guys want a part 2. So, those are my books to read before I die. The list will continue. Thank you.